Well, you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know? I know what time it is. It is time to jump in to my radio show called Unfiltered. Today, I have a lot of different things that I'm going to, well, I shouldn't say a lot. There's several different things. I don't want to be exaggerating here. I do have a few things. Look, I started out with a lot, then I went to several, now I'm at few. I don't know which one it is. I'm actually cracking myself up over here. There are a few things that I want to discuss on some news stories that I picked up on that I think are just, it's just, what's the word I want to find? It's discouraging. Maybe that's a word. But either way, in the third segment, which is what I call the meat and potatoes segment, that's the segment that's the longest, and I want to discuss social media with your kids. So a couple questions you can begin to ask yourself is, what age should your kids have a smartphone, and how strict should you be with a smartphone? And should you allow them to have it all the time? Things like that. We're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, let me just give my show sponsor a shout out, Silo Restaurant in Sullivan, Missouri. Go to their website and check out all their food items they have, all the different things that they do. They have a gathering place there that you can rent and have it catered in, have food catered in from them for a birthday party, baby shower, whatever a small event that you want to do. And it's all on their website, silorestaurant.com. That's silorestaurant.com, S-I-L-O restaurant.com. Check them out and let them know that you heard the advertisement right here on Unfiltered Radio Show. They know who I am, friends with these people, and let them know that I sent you there, that you support your local business, and you're not going to be disappointed. All right, for all of you that are first-time listeners, and I know there are a lot of new people listening to Unfiltered. That's the word I've gotten. I've had a lot of people texting me or messaging me on the app. I just want to kind of remind you what this show is about. So if you're new, welcome. I'm glad you're here today. And here's what Unfiltered is about. It's about a platform for me, a pastor. Yes, I'm a pastor of Roots Church in St. Clair, Missouri. And it gives me this platform to talk about social, political, and biblical topics from a pastor's perspective and doing it in an unfiltered way. I don't want these radio shows to be so scripted that I just don't give you the feeling that I have in the moment. I want it to be real and authentic and off the cuff of what I'm thinking and feeling and saying. And when that happens, guess what? I probably say things that maybe even I question. But that's the beauty of having a radio show called Unfiltered. That's the point. You take the filter off, you just speak your mind, and what comes out, and you have to deal with whatever happens afterwards. That's just kind of the way I roll. So I would encourage you to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I've been doing these short little videos to kind of help people in many, many different ways, and you're starting to see more. I'm trying to do like 2 or 3 a week. We'll see if it goes up from there, but so I'm going to stick with 3 a week for a while. And I want you to talk to me in the Real Talk Radio app. Like today, chat with me in the Real Talk Radio app, if you would. If you have a question or you want to tell me something, or you have a topic you'd like for me to discuss and just want to hear it from my perspective, text me that information, 314-924-4215. Again, the number is 314-924-4215. All right, let's dive in to the first story. We have about 7 minutes left, and let's talk about an elementary school in Oklahoma that hired a drag queen for the principal's seat. Yes, you heard me right. Drag queen has been hired for an elementary school in Oklahoma as the principal of the school. I thought to myself, are you kidding me right now? A friend of mine actually sent me this because they know that I like talking about stuff like this. And here's my thing. What in the world are you going to do in your local school? See, my kids are all out of the house, and so they're not in school anymore. But I have grandkids coming up that are getting ready to start school here in a few years. And I'm starting to get nervous because I don't want our school district here in St. Clair, Missouri doing that. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you read this article and you read what's going on, we shouldn't be touching it with a 10-foot pole. Here's the article on the dailymail.com. It says Oklahoma Elementary School faces huge backlash after hiring drag queen Chantel Mandalay as the principal, with the state superintendent, Ryan Walters, slamming the move as liberal insanity. I like this guy, Ryan Walters. You got to go on thedailymail.com, look this up, and listen to him talk about this situation. It's hilarious. Well, it's not really hilarious, but I like it. I support him. Here's what he says. He says, this is outrageous to have a drag queen running a school. You know, here in Oklahoma, that doesn't line up with the Oklahoma values. He cited parental concerns about what he called woke left-wing indoctrination and gender theory in schools. I couldn't agree more. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to post a few pictures of this person on the app for you to see what I'm seeing and for you to give me your opinion if you would hire this man or woman, depending on what day it is, to be the principal of your small children, your innocent children. I am appalled at what I am seeing, and I am even appalled even more that a school board would hire this guy. And maybe it wasn't the school board, but it was the superintendent of that school that hired him. Because from my knowledge of running for school board here in St. Clair, the school board doesn't necessarily hire any of the teachers or principals. All they hire is the superintendent, and the superintendent does the hiring of the principals and everybody else. So I just can't believe that this school in Oklahoma would do this. It's John Glenn Elementary School. Dr. Shane Mernon is his name, 52-year-old, was named the principal of John Glenn Elementary School in June. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He has a controversial past with child pornography charges that happened 20 years ago, but they were dropped later. I don't really care if they were dropped later or not. You got me in a position where you're telling me that you were charged with child pornography. And the reason why they dropped it is because they said in the preliminary hearing, due to the lack of probable cause, the images on his computer couldn't be proven to be minors. Well, either way, sir, you had pornography on your computer, and they thought it was child porn. And now you're also a drag queen who, supports Gay Pride Month. You read children's books to children dressed as a drag queen in the library, public library. I'm out. I'm out. No way am I hiring this person. And guess what? He could be the nicest guy in the world, and he could be the most qualified guy in the world when it comes to his education. But I'm telling you right now, I know you weren't charged. I know he wasn't charged, but there is something there that is off for me. And guess what? What if something goes wrong with this dude, with one of those kids that are in that elementary school? What if? Well, you know how you take the what if out is don't hire him. That's how you do that. If you don't want to have to deal with the backlash that will come with that, because you knew he had child pornography charges, you knew he was a drag queen, and then something happens after that, you are in major trouble. And I'm just telling you, wisdom for me says don't hire him. That's the way I see this. I just can't even believe that anybody would be okay with this. They say he has 25 years as an outstanding educator and reputation. He comes highly recommended from previous supervisors and colleagues and educators. And I mean, when you look at the picture of him of being just a dude, he actually looks like a cool dude. But when you look at the pictures of him being a drag queen, no. And I just can't get those images out of my head. There's no way. I just can't. It's wrong. Okay? It's wrong. I don't care what kind of education this man has, because he has a Bachelor of Science in elementary education. He has a Master's of Education in Educational Administration. He has a Doctorate of Education in Educational Leadership and Administration. I mean, he is highly educated. But who cares if you're dealing with child pornography? Who cares if you're dressing up like a woman? That's not even, I'm just saying, I need to know what you guys think before I lose it over here in the studio. I don't know. Tell me in the chat. Tell me what you think about these pictures that I just posted. Tell me what you think and let me know. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I being over, protective? No, I'm not being over. I can tell you right now, I'm not being overly protective. I'm telling you right now, I just wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole no matter what. And I'm not saying, I don't know the guy, but I don't care who the guy is. And I don't care anything. I just don't matter to me. He would not be the principal of that school, running that school with the things that I know about him. Call it what you will. Feel it for what you want. This dude here, not doing it. And that's the way I see it. So when we go to the break, let me know in the app what you think. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, we're back from the break, and hopefully you have been messaging me and let me know what you think about this. I really want to ask one question before we get into the next one, which is a more local story. I just believe this is this is just sick and twisted what I'm hearing and what I'm reading about this school. But I want to know if this happens in your school district, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to show up to that board meeting demanding them to fire that person, to give them what your thoughts are? Are you going to rip your kids out of that school? Because to me, if they wouldn't listen, I would somehow try to boycott the whole thing, and I would have every parent just not send their kids to school until that person was fired. Because we all know that a public school does not get money for each day that a child is not there, and they would lose a lot of money every day that happened until they took action. That's just me, though. That's the kind of person I am. I'm not going to tolerate this nonsense. Or I'm just going to pull my kid out and either homeschool them or put them in a private school. I'm just not going to do public school. And honestly, that's where a lot of people are going. If this kind of nonsense continues to happen in our country, this is exactly what's going to go down. Thankfully, right now, in our area, we're not seeing this right now. Not yet. I don't know if we ever will. I don't know. I don't know where people are. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know where I stand with it, and I wouldn't let it happen. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. All right, let's talk about some local news here. This is out of Washington, Missouri. Again, a friend sent me this. I get lots of people send me stuff, and if you have something, send it to me. I'll talk about it. I don't care what it is. But a Lutheran church in Washington, Missouri. This is the Lutheran church. If you're from the area and you're coming from, let me think. If you're coming from Union, and that's 47, and you just go right across 100 at that big intersection, you go right across 100, and you keep trucking down, and you got the True Value on the left, and then you got some doctor's offices right there on the left, and you're about ready to come down the hill before you get to the high school on the right. There's a Lutheran church right there. That's the one I'm talking about. And outside of this church, they have a banner. And the banner says, firearms are the number one cause of death in U.S. children. And it goes on and it says that annually in Missouri, there were 129 deaths from firearms. And then, of course, they have these shirts that are on like signs to make it looks like maybe they're little kids or something. And when I saw this and I thought, so this is a church and they really believe that guns, firearms are the number one death in kids. And I'm like, do they ever do any research at all? Listen, I'm not trying to bash the church itself, but from what I understand, again, I don't know for sure, but from what I hear, that the pastor of that church, the church itself, is pretty liberal. That's just what I know. I don't know. That's just what I'm being told, because I tried to look into it a little bit. And supposedly they've been that way for a long time. And they have some supporters also on some signs that I'm going to discuss here in a minute, which is, I think one of them is Moms Demand Action. That's one of the supporters. And then another one, I forget what the other one is, but what they're trying to do I'm just appalled, first of all, that a church would put that out there. So I will tell you this, we as a church, we would not really, I wouldn't put signs out in front of our church that would talk about that stuff. That's just not who we are. I would use this platform for that stuff, but it's not from the church. It's from me, the pastor. Those are two different things. I wouldn't even talk about a lot of that stuff from the stage, although I do talk about transgenderism, gays, lesbians, all that stuff, Black Lives Matter from the stage because it's biblical. But when it comes to some of these things, we just wouldn't advertise it like that, and we definitely wouldn't put different organizations that we support signs out there. Other than one of an outreach that we would be Convoy of Hope, but we wouldn't put a sign out there because that's just not what we do. But more importantly, you need to know that gun violence is not the number one killer in children. It's abortion. Abortion is the deadliest for children. And that Moms Demand Action, I believe, is a domestic terrorist group. And what they are is they're on this campaign and they're pushing to eliminate guns. That's what they want. They want to take guns away from us when it is a Second Amendment right of ours to carry a weapon, to have a weapon, to own a weapon. But they think for some reason guns kill people. And I'm bringing this up because I don't know how much more people are going to be talking about this. I mean, it's insanity to think that guns kill people because guns don't kill people. People kill people. If you take the guns away, these people are going to find something else to kill people with. Maybe it's a bomb. Maybe it's a knife. Maybe it's a, explosive of some sort. I don't know. Maybe it's their hands. Maybe it's a car. I don't know. They're going to think of something else because it's people that have the problem, not the guns. And this is just an ongoing topic, and it drives me crazy that we're still talking about it. Guns are not the problem. It's people. The gun doesn't pull the trigger. It's the person. That's what it is. I've had guns in my house since my kids have been born. And I've never one time had my kids ever had to worry about my guns. Now, obviously, when they were super small, we kept them locked up, kept them out of the reach of the kids. That's what you do. You got to use some wisdom in this. And I know what they see is a lot of these kids that are disturbed are finding parents' guns, or they find a stolen gun, or they buy a stolen gun on the black market, and then they use that to go kill somebody. But that isn't your norm. And when we're talking about this, you need to understand that abortion is the number one deadliest thing for children. And what we need to do is we need to educate young teens about this. We need to educate young adults about this and let them know that the easiest way out of your situation is not murdering an innocent baby. And some of you might think that's harsh because you say, yeah, but what about the rape and the incest, those two? Well, okay. Well, let me tell you about them. All right. Less than 1% of abortions are from rape, and 0.05% are from incest. So we're not talking about them. 99%, 98.95% of abortions are from people that are just flat irresponsible. That's what it boils down to. Now, that's harsh, but it's the truth. This doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. It doesn't mean that God can't forgive you. What it means is we're not educating people to get them to understand that this is a life that they are killing. It is a life. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's not life until it's actually born. That's not true. It's got a heartbeat. Guess what? It's forming. We all know. You don't have to. I know you'll fight against that. I know you'll try to use all the things that you can in science and everything else, but it is not going to change my mind. It's not going to change a lot of other people's minds. I will tell you right now, you're telling me in the Missouri last year we had 129 deaths from guns. Well, I can tell you right now we had probably 5 times that in abortions. Of course, now, with it being illegal in Missouri, guess what? They're going to other states. But just in 2020, there were 680,000 abortions in the United States. And there were only 21,000 gun violence deaths. So you tell me which one's worse. Again, let me know what you think in the app. I don't even have enough time to go into all these different figures, but I'm telling you right now, it is insane how many of these people, 24% of people that have abortion have a second one. Anyway, I might hit some of these when we come back from the break, but we got to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, we're back from the break. Let's just hit a couple of these real quick. There's we were talking about abortion, talking about it's the number one killer in kids is abortions, that you're killing kids when you have an abortion, not guns. The agenda is all messed up in that church over there in Washington. And again, they might be trying to, in their minds, they might be thinking they're doing something good, but trust me, you're not doing anything good because it's nonsense what you're trying to push, which is gun safety, which, oh my gosh, we should all be pushing for gun safety. We should all want to make, we should all be teaching kids and the people that own guns about safety. Just like when you get a gun, you don't ever point it at anybody. You always keep it up in the air. Always make sure the safety's on. Make sure your finger's off the trigger. I mean, these are basic things that you learn when you have a gun. Don't pull the trigger unless you know you're going to use it. Don't pull your gun out, I should say, especially, unless you plan on using it. It's just, you don't, oh my goodness. Well, here, just a couple more. These statistics are from 2020. I couldn't find anything earlier like this. This is pretty detailed here. It says that 10% of people have 2 or more abortions, and 8% have 3 or more abortions. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that many people can just keep doing that without understanding the responsibility that they are not taking on themselves for what they do. And since we're talking about kids, I mean, we're literally the total count of abortions since 1970, whatever it is, 74, is like 53. It's either 52 or 53 million. That's like a whole country of people. I don't even know what to say about that. It's sad that people think that is okay when it's not okay. Anyway, the agenda is just it's messed up for that for what I believe in your local news story. So let's get into the topic of social media and with your kids. This segment is sponsored by Roots Cafe, which is the church's cafe, open 6 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. I encourage you to come out and check it out. It's got a great atmosphere, lots of food, crepes, panini, salads, bakery items, and we have a few new menu items coming up that you are going to love, so stay tuned for that. But Roots Church Cafe is sponsoring this particular segment. So let's talk about this. Social media and kids. You know, Erin and I, my wife and I, we did not have to deal with this with our children until the latter years. Because social media, the smartphone didn't even come available until 2007. That's the study I found. 2007 is when the smartphone came out. So our children didn't have to deal with this as much, but today it is a lot worse than it was back when we had kids. And one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, well, at what age should you allow your child to have a phone? Well, that's a great question. And I will tell you that I don't believe there are psychological studies out there, you know, where it says 12 years and older is what they recommend, but you as a parent have to be the one to determine where your child's maturity level is for you to determine if 12 is too young or blah, 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 blah. And I'm just going to tell you, for Erin and I, we did not allow our kids to have a phone until they got into middle school. I don't exactly remember the age because it was different for each one. Because, again, of the maturity level, you know, our oldest, Austin, he was way more mature in this area. So, of course, he was able to do things a little quicker than some of the others. But that's one of those things that really you have to determine, you know, at what age. You got to know your child well enough to say at what age, but I can tell you personally, I do believe anything younger than 12 is a bad idea. Now, can they have a phone to get in contact, like an emergency where it's just, maybe you calling somebody or maybe texting? Okay, that's a different story. Again, I'm not parenting today with that in mind, but I do think it's wise for a younger person in school to have a device with phone only to where they can at least call an emergency situation. I don't think that's a bad idea with everything going on in our world. I don't. But one of the things that they have realized now that smartphones are doing to people, especially kids, is these studies have proven that kids are more depressed today than ever. Anxiety is higher than it's ever been. Suicide has gone up, and addiction has all gone up because of smartphones. What was intended to be good has now turned into something bad. I know that the iPhone or the smartphones, especially, iPhone, Android, whatever, in the very beginning, it was a great, cool little thing. It always starts out good, but as usual, it always ends up with somebody abusing it and getting addicted to it, and then people abusing the different social media apps and all those things, and it turns into a mess. And now you have exposure to indecent content, sexual content. I mean, you have porn in your pocket now. You literally can go on your phone if there's no parameter set up, and you can literally look at porn on your phone. That would have never happened. And if parents are not looking at that and they're not protecting that, they're not setting up boundaries, then your kids are probably doing that. You have cyberbullying now. Back in my day, we didn't have cyberbullying. We just had bullying. You went to school, you got on a bus, you got, bullied a little bit, whatever that was. When you went home the next day, usually it'd start over. It was a fresh day. But today, you're at home, you're anywhere you want. And you get bullied on social media now. You get bullied through a text message. It's all the time. It doesn't stop. And because of that, there's suicide. There's so many suicides from young people because they've been bullied on social media or at school through texting or through the smartphone. And of course, the last one is addiction. I would venture to say that most of us are probably addicted to our phones. That's what I believe. There's a lot of people that are not, but there are a lot of people that are. You can't not put your phone down. You can't not look at social media. You can't not text. I mean, there are certain things you just cannot do. And, they have this thing called vibration sensation. That's when you have your phone in your pocket. It doesn't vibrate, but you think it vibrates because that's all it does all day. And it's triggered and programmed your mind to think that a text is going off or a notification on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, went off and you got to check it. That's exactly how we've trained ourselves. It's actually getting scary. But here's some good news. This is what I want to talk about the most. The good news is there is some new technology out there. And I'm going to talk about 2 different programs today. And I am not sponsored by these people, nothing. In some research that I did, I just found this information. I started doing some research on it. And these 2 programs are amazing. And I want to get it out there to families that might want to use it because it does cost you. But I think it's well worth the money. This new technology, what it can do is it can scan your child's phone, any of their devices, their computer, their iPad, their tablet, their Android, their iPhone, whatever their smart device is, they can literally scan it bit by bit, word by word, image by image in milliseconds to determine if it's unhealthy for your child based off your values and your moral standards. You get to set it up and tell it what you want, and it literally maintains it for you. The cool part, at least for me, is it's done by AI. Here's a moment where I believe AI is useful. And the reason why is because you don't have some human being on the backside of the server looking at all the images and things that are coming through your kid's social media, whatever pictures are being taken and sent all around the www. With this program, it scans it, AI scans it, and determines what's appropriate and not based on the functions you put in there. And then it literally immediately deletes it so nobody sees it and it's not stored on a hard drive. Let me tell you about the name of these two programs. The first one is Canopy. And if you think about it, Canopy, it protects, right? It protects your child innocence as much as you can. And what's cool about Canopy, it's all about sexual content. So this program will literally set up on your phone. It runs in the background and it decides what is healthy and what is not based on what you set it up to be. Whether it's swimming suit, whether it's full nudity, underwear, whatever it is, it literally blocks it. The other cool part about this technology is your kids can still read articles and have all that sexual content blacked out or blocked where they can't see it, but they can yet still see the article. Where a lot of other companies, what happens is it just blocks the whole website and you can't even go to the website. With Canopy, you can still go to the website, you just don't see the sexual content. It's actually pretty cool. You need to go in there and look at Canopy. Canopy.com is what it is. Canopy. You know what? Actually, it might be Canopy. Let me look this up real quick because I want to make sure. Canopy right here. Oops. The other one, while I'm looking this up, actually, Canopy. Oh, it's canopy.us. That's what it is, not .com. Canopy.us. I'm glad I looked that up. Canopy.us. Go look it up. It's got FAQs in there for you to read. The other program is called Bark, B-A-R-K, and that's bark.us. Same thing, bark.us. This one is more for all the different platforms that you can. Man, this one is so cool because you can actually tell it how often you want your kids to be on the phone, what apps you want them to be on, and how long you want them to be on the apps, and at what time of the day can they be on the apps. It's got cyberbullying on it to where, I mean, it doesn't cyberbully. I don't want it to sound like that. But if someone begins to send your kid a text or a message through any of this stuff, it'll detect cyberbullying and it will send the parent a message saying cyberbullying has been detected. That's how cool it is. There's so much. I don't even have time to talk about all the different stuffs on Bark or Canopy. Completely two different programs. Canopy is really strictly for sexual content, and Bark, actually, you can control the amount of time that your kids are on social media. But more, and even more importantly, you can actually buy a Bark phone, a phone that has Bark on it already that limits a lot of different things, and it looks like an Android phone, which is kind of cool because if you don't want your kid to have one of these smartphones, you can get them a Bark phone, and most kids wouldn't even realize what it is. And I'm telling you, you as the parent get to call the shots. And it's tamper-proof. You as the parent gets to control what is going on, and it can allow you to be confident in your children being on a smartphone. The one thing I don't think is I don't think we should shelter our kids from life. I don't think that's the right idea. But I also don't believe that they should just be able to do whatever they want because that would also be dangerous. Canopy.us and Bark.us are the two programs. Check them out. Let me know what you think. Yes, they cost. They have monthly fees. But I'm telling you, do you care about your children enough? Do you want them to be able to be on some of these devices and apps to be able to have fun with their friends and whatnot? Then do it knowing that they can be on there and yet still be protected by your values and your moral standards. That's the cool part about it. There's tons of videos out there on these programs, so go check them out. Bark.us and Canopy.us. We got to take a break. We'll be back in just a minute. Well, hopefully you went on those two websites and checked out those programs to help your children with social media. And what I want to do on this last segment is actually just talk about a lot of statistics and get into the meat of what is going on. As an example, 1 out of 3 children that are 12 years old in the United States have their own smartphone, which I believe obviously is pretty young, and that is quite a few kids have phones before they need to. There's even kids, 20-something percent. Here it is right here. 31% of kids at the age from 0 to 2 have begun engaging with a smartphone, where a parent hands them the phone for them to watch a movie or watch a program or whatever. 29% for ages 3 to 4, 26% for ages 5 to 8, and then 14% for ages 9 and 11. That's just the Pew research that has been done. That's what they come up with. There are disadvantages of exposing kids to a phone too early. At least I believe. Parents give their kids a smartphone for different reasons. We all do. Some feel a smartphone is necessary to stay in contact with the kids. Others see it as a way to keep kids entertained. But besides all that, there are some parents that want to help kids stay in touch, even with their friends. Interestingly enough, 40% of parents in the U.S. give their children smartphones to enjoy peace and quiet. I hear that, and I think to myself, okay, so that's what parents are doing today. I know we talked about parenting, I guess maybe last week, the week before. This is not a way to parent, ladies and gentlemen. You don't give them a smartphone so you can have peace and quiet. What you could do if you want to have peace and quiet is make them sit down and read a book or watch a TV show, a kid show. Listen to this. This is, okay. It's hard to even talk about this. It's so aggravating that there are parents out there allowing this much time, their kids, this much time on the phone. So the amount of time kids from the age of 8 to 12, which they really shouldn't even have a smartphone, but they do, they spend 4 hours and 44 minutes a day on their digital screens in the U.S. 8 to 12-year-olds are spending almost 5 hours a day on their smartphone from 8 to 12. So these kids are in school. They get out of school at 3 o'clock. So that's 6 hours before they start going to bed, maybe even 5.5 for some people. Should be 5, 8:30. And they're on a smartphone for 4 hours and 44 minutes for the entire day. So what that tells me is that they're on the phone most of the time that they are out of school or even in school, just depends. But here's what it does. Being on the phone that much, it alters our brain development. It impairs our social skills development. I mean, think about it. Today, young people, they don't want to talk on the phone and ask somebody a question. They just rather text the question. It's a lot easier just to text somebody and not have to actually have a face-to-face conversation or a conversation on the phone. So it really impairs social skills. It also exposes kids to the dark world of the web. There's so much going on the internet that we really don't want our kids seeing, but yet we want to entertain them and we want a little peace and quiet, so we just give them a little smart device so they can just watch whatever they want. It also allows technology addiction at an early age. We are addicted to our phones. Trust me. So here's some reasons why maybe your kids should have a phone. It's easy to track them, helps keep pace with technology, and helps create memories, and adds to their education. And that's true. All those things are true if we use them in the right way. But there are so many suggestions out there. And I don't know, we need to stop maybe looking to everybody else and really just start looking to God to be, guided on how we're supposed to raise our children. He's the one that gave them to us to begin with. They are a gift from Him to us. It's our job to manage that gift, to raise them under godly principles and values. I talked about this a little bit, that we are to raise our kids to be holy and to become more like Him. And when we do that, a lot of these other things I've been talking about will just go away. So Is it time for your kids to have a smartphone? And what age do you allow your kids to have a smartphone? I don't want you to feel ridiculed or anything just because you might say the age for my child to have a smartphone was 8 years old. I mean, that is your choice. I don't agree with it, but that is your choice. You're the parent. But is it too young? Because I think it could be too young. I really do. These smartphones are not only affecting kids, they're affecting adults. So do you sit down at the dinner table with your family or go out to eat and have a phone in your hand while you're having conversation with other people? I've caught myself doing this. You know, I'm in the middle of a business deal or something I'm dealing with, and I'm trying to have lunch or trying to have breakfast or dinner, whatever it is, and I'm trying to get the message in, and they're talking to me, and I just pick up my phone and say, give me 1 minute, I need to respond. Our brains cannot be in two places at once. We can only focus on one thing at a time. I don't care what you think about being multitasking. You're not multitasking. You cannot do two things at once. Sure, you can pat your head and rub your stomach. Okay, I get it. Let's not get technical. We can't focus on two things at the same time. You cannot give 100% focus on two things at the same time. Can you think about two things at the same time? Yes, but you're not 100%. You're 50% or 60-40, depending on which topic is more to you. And we got these devices in our hands and we're always on them. There's a thing on your phone that tells you how much screen time you do have. All you got to do is go to your settings and look at your screen time. And you will be surprised how much we are on our phones. I'm looking at mine right now. I just want to know. Because here's the other thing you got to think about it. If you go to your most used, so for today, this is me today. It's only 2:00 in the afternoon, but I'm looking at here. I'm going to show the camera because I'm also all my radio shows are posted on my YouTube page after I'm done. So you can see me in studio, but you can see my camera or on camera. You can see my phone on camera. And here's what it says. It says that I have been on my phone today for 2 hours and 19 minutes. The funny thing is I've had my clock on for 59 minutes because I'm using it to record each program of my show. I got to see. Okay, I got 2.5. I'm looking at my time. I got 2 minutes left to talk about this. So for 59 minutes, for 1 hour of my screen time for today has been on the clock. 45 minutes have been me text messaging people, mainly my guys for work. I've been on Facebook for 7 minutes today. I've been on Instagram for 5 minutes. I've been on the internet for 3 minutes. And I've been in my notes for 57 seconds. I looked at a photo for 1 minute. I mean, the majority. I mean, if you take off my clock, I've only been on my phone for 1 hour and 19 minutes, and 45 minutes of that has been text messages. I'm actually pretty proud of myself today not being on my phone that much. So go and look at it. Let me see if it'll say, okay, yesterday, 2 hours and 47 minutes all day yesterday, I was on my phone. 54 minutes was text messaging. 28 minutes was Spotify. 11 minutes on Facebook and 3 minutes on Instagram. It shows you I'm not on social medias as much as everybody thinks. The day before that, 2 hours and 58 minutes. Let's see. Let me go. That's all I got for this week. So it just goes to show you. Follow it. I try to be an example. I'm not saying I'm perfect, and trust me, I have days where I'm on my phone way more because maybe it's my off day. But I literally do try to stay off my phone as much as I can because it's a time sucker. And I just don't want all my time to be done in my phone. I want it to be with people. I want to be relaxing, maybe reading a book or researching something. That's what I want. What do you want? Tell me what you think about all this. Do you think it's crazy? You think I'm crazy? Am I being too far? Am I being balanced? I'd like to know what you think. I just like to try to track what I'm doing to help me stay in balance with life, because phones can be addicting, and I believe they are addicting for a lot of people. Listen, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think on the app. Let me know. You can text me 314-924-4215. Again, 314-924-4215. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next time.